All right, y'all, here we go. And we are live. All right, all right. Hello, hello, good people. So those of you who are watching us on YouTube, we are sending you guys greetings. We are at the public library right now, so we are super excited to be here at the library with everybody. So that doesn't echo. So first and foremost, we want to say welcome to Talk Tuesday. It's a series that's dedicated to empowering youth and families. This series is being brought to you by Steps Foundation, Inc., where advocacy meets education for the betterment of young minds. I'm Abigail Ellis, your host and founder of Steps Foundation, Inc. So this month, we're super excited because we are diving into a topic that plays a huge role in the everyday life of our teens and even for some of us adults. So we're talking about positive peer relationships. Friendships can often be both a source of joy, growth, stress, and conflict, depending on their nature. So throughout this month, we're going to explore how to recognize healthy versus toxic relationships, how to communicate effectively, strategies for resisting peer pressure, and the essential qualities of trust and empathy in strong relationships. So we invite you guys to join us, engage with us, ask us questions because we want to hear from you. We want to see as you guys are typing in the comment section and asking questions or just in general giving comments. So today I'm super excited because we've added some new people to our team. And so I have a beautiful young lady on the screen with us. Hi, Alani. But I also have sitting next to me, and you guys can't see her face, but I have Karen sitting in the room with me. Hold on, let's see if we see you. Come on, Karen. Boom, there she goes. Who is also sitting in the room with me. And for those of you who have been watching Talk Tuesday for a while, you've probably recognized our co-host, Smitty. What up, Smit? So it's always a good time when Smit is in the room for sure. Today, we are focusing on toxic versus healthy friendships. And I think that this is super huge, especially as a lot of our students are navigating through understanding what friendship is, how friendship looks. So, Smith, I got to come with the questions. I know you ready for them.
Absolutely. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best.
Listen, so we got to think back to like when we was in high school and trying to make friends, and what that looked like, and then even like how we've navigated some of those situations into our everyday adulthood lives, and what that looks like for us. So, Smith, what are some things that you feel teens can do to recognize when a friendship is being toxic?
Oh, wow.
I love Alani's face. Look, first of all, look, Alani was like, "Ooh, that's a good one."
that is a good one. I mean, the way to start the season off, like bam, right in your face. Man, I'm trying to recoup from summer. That is a phenomenal question, sis. And again, like I always say, you always come with the organic, like you knew what the vibe was today. I was talking to a fifth grade teacher this morning, almost about this same topic a little bit. Now, mind you, you asked about teenagers, but I think it's kind of in the same ballpark, so to speak. You know, um, I think the toxicity is is only apparent if you understand what toxic is, right? Again, like I always say, and I've been saying for years on this show, is you only know what you know, especially young people. They only know what they're introduced to, right? So I go back to what I always say. Your normal is your normal. So if your environment has been this particular way, then if a friendship happens in that same construct of what your normal is, from the outside, the perspective people might look at it as toxic, but the people in that circle in that friendship don't see it as toxic, right? So I think that's the challenge right there. And we go back to some of our shows, we talked about, building your boundaries and creating these boundaries.
Yes.
Well, teenagers, need to be introduced to what healthy relationships are, right? Otherwise, they won't know a toxic one from a healthy one from this, that, and the third, you know? So I think it's important when we talk about that to how do you define that
Yes.
Is first defining what toxic is. You know what I'm saying? Because some people, let's be fair, you know, let me not say some people. In some areas, toxicity is a good thing, which again is the normal that has been accepted, you know. So I know I didn't give the answer, but I think it starts with identifying what toxic relationships look like.
But you actually bring up a very good point, and like you said, I know we've kind of tapped into a little bit of these things previously. Let's even go into that, right? Toxic.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
What?
when we're thinking about toxic, and I know toxic, like you said, is typically defined by who's in the toxic situation and what we've been privy to
Mm-hmm.
in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's environmental, whether it's family oriented, whether it's school related, you know, toxic looks different on many different levels and in different avenues. One of the things that I know always kind of stands out is that toxic is like people who manipulate you and and like take advantage of you and the things that you have or things that you possess, and it's not always like a mutual beneficial type
Right.
of relationship.
Right.
What's something else you got?
Let me, I got to say this because you're talking about when we talks about the toxic relationship, right? Now,
Uh-huh.
let me just go nerd for a minute and go into my mad scientist laboratory, if you will, and start breaking down, you know, the chemical table here, right? So when we start talking about toxic and we start talking about materials that don't interact with one another, or then one material may have a different effect on a different material, right? So when we start talking about friendships, especially with young folks, right? That one individual might not be the perfect compound to go with you. Now, let me say this. They may not be a bad person. They may not even be toxic, but them with you create a toxic environment. You see what I'm saying? Because here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. Because when I told my kids, hey, this is what I expect from you when you leave the house. Now, I'm thinking one thing, they're behaving a way, but then when they get around this particular environment, they change. See that those compounds didn't work. Those materials don't work together. You see what I'm saying? And it's not that my child was bad or this child was bad. I hate to say that, but but together they don't do good. That's why, let me fast forward and shut up. But that's why a lot of relationships as adults don't work, marriages don't work, because the makeup don't work. You know what I'm saying? They can't work together. So I think that's part of that is identifying again people that make you better, that enhance who you are, and not create a volatile who you are. You know what I'm saying? Bring out that part.
I love that. And see, I love that you went the chemistry route. Okay. And I think that too is so very important in understanding that sometimes people just don't work for us. It's kind of like that saying when people say, you know, everything happens in a season, right? And you have that season where everything is good, and then that season when things start to go bad, and it becomes like you guys just outgrew each other. And I think it's absolutely normal, and it's something that we all go through. And like I said, like I know we're talking like in terms of like what our teens are going through, and that's what I say. It definitely plays a role in even our adult lives.
Well,
Jealousy.
so hold on. I gotta, I like to provide examples, real life scenarios for what I'm talking about, because I don't want people to just be like, oh, Smith just be talking. He just be talking. When we start talking, like you said, about this
Yeah.
relationship and about people meshing and the compounds coming together, right? And they're doing great things. Take this, and I want you to, young people, if you're listening, old people, if you're listening, if you take a banana, Now this is proven
Yeah.
this is proven laboratory science right here. If you take a banana, a banana by itself is delicious. A couple of them are pretty delicious if you put them in banana pudding or banana bread or whatever you do with bananas. However, if you get too many bananas isolated in a closed environment, they start to give off a very toxic fume that can kill you. Now that's the truth. So
Yep.
again, when we start talking about chemicals coming together and different people coming together, they may be good for one thing, but then together it's combustible, and those are facts.
Absolute. Absolute. And
And
see,
I'm not Bill Nye the science guy. I'm not Bill Nye the science guy. Just know
you
some
are
things.
today.
Yes, I
Hey,
am.
Bill.
I know some things. What up? What up? What up, people? I need a pocket protector. I got to give me a pocket protector.
Listen, first of all, I love the banana analogy, and I think that's a good one and a good eye opener. Um, I got another question for you, Smith, because
I know you do.
you know
I know you do. That's what I'm here for.
how important do you feel mutual support is in a friendship?
Well, I think without sounding corny, um, it's probably the foundation of the friendship. Can't have it one way. One person can't be the influencer, the inspirer, the motivationer, the pick me up, the cheerleader, the condoler, the enabler. It has to be both ways. When we start talking about teenagers, it's I I can't just rely on you at school, or I can't just rely on you outside of school. I need to know that you're here for me here, 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 and there, right? And then when we start talking about that two-way communication, is how do our young people know how to communicate? What's communication look like? We're now, and this is not the old man get off my porch thing, but this is more like the reality check of where we are. Young people talk different because we're on social media. We're really not having in-depth conversations. They're more superficial. They're more to the point. There might be three words in a statement from one person to the other. It may be an emoji. It may be a bruh. So when we start talking about communication, the mutual benefits from one to another, it's critical. It's critical because here we are when we're in like I just said, a social media driven world where if you're not face to face in person, you can't pick up tone, you can't pick up the emotion of the word, you can't pick up the context, the environment, the delivery process, the body language, the eye location. And so that's very difficult. So I think, yeah, the mutual communication back and forth is critical, and it
I
has to
love
be discussed.
I love that you bring it up because I know like we're living in a text heavy world now, right? Everybody would rather text than pick up the phone, text
Mhm.
than come see you face to face and in person. And it's exactly what you said. A lot of times things get misconstrued because perception looks a lot different when I am reading a message from you versus when I'm hearing how you sound or seeing what you mean, because body language is very important, especially in getting points across. Um, so I had to bring in a statistic, right?
Here we go. Here we go.
So according to a study by the Children Mind Institute, 75% of teens say that they've encountered peer pressure to do something negative, often within the context of a friendship. Okay. So how can parents, with
Ooh.
that, knowing that, how can parents help support their teens in identifying healthy friendships?
That is a great question. And I would say the answer to that is for the parent to ask their child that. You know, I think what I've learned, as a parent, as a grandparent, is we have to put our conditioned bias trained thoughts aside. and not influence what we want our kids to think, right? So I think in that scenario, to your point, or to your question, how can parents help? I think the greatest thing a parent can do is go to that child and say, hey, talk to me about what you think friendship looks like. Now put the onus on the child to create that image, those boundaries, what they want, and here's a I don't want to say this is a fact, but I know from in my household when my children were young, they gravitated towards other individuals that were kind of common. They had some similarities. There was two parents in the household, they was playing sports or whatever the case was, but it never dawned on me to be like, hey, yo, tell me what that friendship looks like. What kind of room are you giving this person? What kind of leverage are you giving this person? What kind of safe harbor are you for this person? Because, last year during the school season, we lost a student who decided just some things weren't just, they couldn't bear it anymore. And a lot of the friends in that circle spoke like they never knew that this particular individual felt that way. So when we start talking about that, you got to create these safe harbors. And so when parents, once they say, hey, yo, son, daughter, what does friendship look like to you? Oh, okay. What's a safe place look like to you? Do your friends want to talk to you? Can they trust you? Do they believe in you? Because I think right now, again, going back to your question before, all right, the mutual communication. If it's not there, and then the parent isn't encouraging it to be, hey, listen, are you talking to people? Are you listening? Do you feel safe having these conversations? Because, it's crazy. It's crazy that we sit here and ask that question. But then that particular child or that particular individual, they're not comfortable being a safe harbor. That's a lot of pressure for a teenager to accept that responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So I think a parent would be well set to be like, tell me what you think friendship is, and then let me provide some other areas where you could build a better relationship within your social capital of friends. Social capital. I got that from this show.
Social capital.
I got that from this show.
I love it. Bringing back the old co-host. Let's go. Alani and Karen. So I know that you guys are kind of chilling.
I'm waiting for them to talk.
I ain't gonna just put y'all on the spot, but I'm putting y'all on the spot. Thinking about like how you guys navigate your current friendships, what are some of the things that kind of stood out to you guys while making friends that could have been like something that you saw as like a toxic friendship?
In high school.
I'll even slide it over for you. Hold on. There she go.
Okay, so in high school, I'm like, okay, in high school, I had a friend group, and I went to a very small high school. So literally, like, my friend group was with me from middle school all the way to graduation. However, because it was just us, I didn't realize until after I graduated that they weren't actually my friends. They stopped inviting me to things because they stopped seeing me face to face. So they stopped being like, oh, they didn't have to be accountable for me anymore. So they stopped inviting me to things. The group chat stopped mentioning me anymore. They like started hanging out and doing other things without me. And that's when I asked them, they were like, oh no, you were just a classmate.
Oh,
And
they actually said it. Wow.
I'm telling you, high schools are brutal.
So can I ask this question to you? What was your perspective of the friendship of this circle, of this friend group? Did you think they were just classmates, or was you thinking something different?
Dude, I thought they were my best friends, and I used to do a lot for them. And it was obviously it sucked, but I kind of learned that if they don't appreciate my time, then they don't deserve my friendship. So
Absolutely.
so
How did you enter into it? How did this circle come about?
it started in seventh grade. We kind of gravitated towards each other because we're all kind of groups of nerds. We were kind of the nerds of our grade. And we were all kind of in the same kind of like we were into the same things. So that's kind of the easiest way to make friendships, which is kind of just like, oh, you're into like gaming. Okay, cool. Let's be friends. And that's just kind of how it like happened. Um, and then like slowly as we grew, our interests kind of diverted, but we were still friends. Like we ate at lunch together, we went to see shows together, like we were friends. But it wasn't until later that it kind of like
That
So how would you enter into that same scenario now, knowing what you know? How would you enter into that
I
scenario?
think I would like to say that I would notice some like little things that I didn't notice when I was friends with my friends, because at the time my plan was to go to UCF for an example, and my other friends were also going to UCF like completely coincidentally, and I was like, oh, we should all room together since we all know each other, we should room. And they were like, no, I actually planned it with someone else to room. And I was like, no, that's fine. It's whatever. It's okay. I'll find someone else to room with. I ended up not going to UCF, but um that would have was one of the many times that they like brushed me off to not like join a hangout. And they would be like, no, we wanted to invite you, but we kind of just forgot. So that's kind of like when I would have probably, I think now I notice these signs a lot easier. It's when someone starts brushing me off, like stops texting me. I'm kind of like, okay, they don't want my friendship, so I won't put as much effort into it since they don't want to put much effort into being friends with me.
Right.
And so now I have really good friends that talk to me all the time.
And
So
so,
we're
and
all
how,
good.
how do you think, because I think this is important, especially nowadays with social media being so bipolar and the effects that it has on our young people. How do you think that particular scenario, that group of friends you was involved in, would have maybe been different if the parents were involved? Like the parents knew each other, like they knew, like, the parents knew each other and they knew you guys. And it was like more of it wasn't a classroom thing. It was almost like a family thing.
Um, Actually, their parents were actually very close to us.
Hey, shoots my theory down.
One of the parents of one of our friends was like one of the teachers that we like had in ninth grade.
Wow.
So we were actually very close.
Wow.
Even for homecoming, like we would hang out, like we would have a Christmas party every year at that mom would host it, and she would send out the invites and everything. And that's why when you were saying, oh, if the parents were more involved, maybe then you would avoid it.
Like, yep, no.
Hey, this sounds like an episode of Mean Girls,
I
man.
hate to break it to you. Um, but I think
So I gotta ask this question. Were there any males in this friendship?
yes, there was.
Really?
Yeah.
And how did
I'm
they?
gonna send this some kind of way.
Because
Most of my friends were guys. Yeah. There was like a couple of girls, but our group was really big. But
this is that
what I can say based on my experience is that it's also the parents' job to kind of understand that even though they're not your friends, like they're your kids' friends. So if you are acting a certain way to your kid and not the same way to your friend, his friends, then you'll see like your kid is going to act like you do.
Right.
So as an example, one of the kids that was in our group, Like I'm gonna expose them, but they
I'm not trying to expose
I'm not trying to
nobody.
expose anybody, but he did something like really, really bad. I'll put it that way. He did something really, really bad. And it affected me and it affected his girlfriend. So what happened was then his parents, instead of like talking to us and being like, I'm sorry for my son's behavior, he's not gonna do this again, he instead said like, oh, we need to cover this up because if like
Mm,
UCF finds out, you're not to get in.
mm,
Mm.
So
mm.
it kind of goes both
Kind of
ways.
puts you at fault as much, and even though you didn't have anything to do with it.
Exactly. Even
Right.
if you didn't have like control over your kid, because like whatever, because he's like 18, and like that makes sense. It's your job as a parent to kind of educate your kid as to not do that thing, to
Right.
not do that toxic thing that
I love it because it's the right is right and wrong is wrong,
Wrong.
and like just the whole like that accountability piece. Like how many times we talked about that one, Smith?
A lot.
Accountability.
A lot.
But yeah,
You know?
I'm sorry, I'm kind of like destroyed your
No, no,
Nah,
no,
nah.
you said it not.
Well, no,
This is why we have the
it's
conversation. Like
it-
the one thing about Talk Tuesday, right? It is very much about everybody's own experiences, and
mhm.
so we actually look forward to hearing like the rebuttals and like because everybody's experience is different
Yeah.
and everybody goes through something different, and we want to see that because again, all of our kids are very unique in the sense when they show up, like nobody is the same. And so hearing other perspectives means there's a student listening that
Mhm.
resonates with that story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so we have to have all the different perspectives.
Yeah. So that's why I was kind of like, their parents were really involved. Like it was kind of to the point where all the moms were friends. And like
Mhm.
the only person that was not friends with them was my mom, mostly because of the language barrier, because she's Brazilian. So the language barrier was really strong for her, especially because culturally it's different. Relate friends with moms, like it's normal in Brazil, yes, but it's easier for her to make friends with people that kind of are in the same vibe as her. And you could clearly tell as well that the moms were not a big fan of my mom because she would not quote unquote try to be friends with her though.
Mhm.
So
So it
it's
was definitely sounds like there was some mean girl vibes going on with the moms.
absolutely,
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was generational. Like the mean
Yeah.
girl
Yeah.
came down.
Absolutely.
So I think the only thing I would say about like toxic friendships and toxic relationships is, especially as a person who came out of like a big toxic like friendship, is it's not only romantic. Like toxic friendships
Exactly.
happen a lot and people don't realize it because they're like, oh, it can only be romantic. Like you can only have
Exactly. And
a
that's not
toxic
the case.
relationship, but that's not true. Your friends is can be as toxic as a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever. And the it's like you can say right now, like, oh, I'll tell these signs. Like clearly, it was clearly obvious. But I was
But
friends
but it's not always so
it's
obvious.
not. I was friends with these people for over 7 years.
Yeah.
So I couldn't fathom the fact that they were not my friends.
Right.
So it's kind of the thing of like, though, even like if you don't realize it until later, do not beat yourself up over it. Because
Exactly.
it is hard to like admit to yourself that a person's being bad for you.
What I get out of this is the trickle down effect, right? And that's that's the generational trauma, right? And a lot of parents don't recognize that they are the role model for their bullying children, because gossip, their bias, their thought process most likely trickles down to the children, and then the children take that. So just like, any parent or a group of parents might talk at their place of business, oh, about so-and-so did this, so-and-so said that. They're the role model for their children. And then their children take that and they bring it into their, respective cliques. And it just, it happens. And again, not knocking, it's the normal. It's the normal. And then, people get hurt. People get hurt because there's a lack of communication. Like here's a great example. You always hear, do as I say, right? Well, you're saying it. I'm doing what you're saying. And it's not good because you haven't explained that to a seventh grader whose what's that, the frontal lobe cortex or whatever, that part right there. I'm not a anatomy guy, but that's still growing, it's evolving, and they don't know how to comprehend or differentiate. Oh, I see my parents gossiping and talking bad about this other parent, so I'm going to gossip and talk bad about this other parent. This person's really not my friend, but they're in our clique. I just think I really put a lot of emphasis on, to your original question about the parents being involved. There has to be some form of, again, accountability and clarity and defining. You know what I'm saying? Like, I may be saying this, but I want you to do this. You can't go back and then in front of your same child you just had this conversation with and do something different. The oxymoron don't work. So
I love that. Look, I love this whole conversation. Look, y'all better come through. Alani, we putting the spotlight on you now. She's like, oh no. Oh yeah, it's you. It's your turn. So tell us, like in your experiences, so how have you navigated healthy or unhealthy friendships as you're coming out of like high school phase into college phase? How have you navigated? Like, how has that changed the trajectory of how you handle friendships now?
So I haven't been on a healthy friendship in my life. I currently don't have like close friends, like one friend, but I experienced a lot toxic jealousy, drama, a lot of stuff that mentally I got into depression. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want it to be near them. It was so bad that I got so depressed that I couldn't anymore with my life. But it was because friendships. I had this friend since freshman year. She was my best friend. But things changed. She started like hanging out with a new friend, and she like stopped talking to me. And I will ask her like, "Are you okay? Why are you not talking to me?" We were like a trio of three like friends, and then she left with other friends. So she left me and my other friend. She wouldn't talk to me. She wouldn't nothing. I would ask her, but nothing. And then one day she comes and she said, "I don't trust you. And maybe I'm jealous." She said that. Because people notice a lot that she wanted like to be me. She would change her hair color every time I changed my hair color. She wanted this when I had it. Like those type of friends when they want something when you have it. And people notice a lot that. But that friendship mentally drowned in me. It will break my heart every single day. I didn't want to see her because it was awkward, it was weird, and I had classes with her, so it was really weird.
Right.
Yeah, and you could feel like the tension, like it was not good. But we're not friends anymore. She actually like apologized to me, but I not like those type of friends. I keep them like distant because I don't want to repeat history, and it's not good for you to repeat history, especially with people that hurt you. But yeah.
So
I want to hold on one second, because I want to first acknowledge, like, for you and Karen, like, I appreciate you guys coming and being like vulnerable, like on day one. And I know these are like tough questions to ask, and I really do appreciate and I acknowledge you guys for coming and sharing these stories. Because I know that's not easy to talk about, but I really do appreciate and I hear you guys, and I am proud of y'all. Cause see, in all of this, like you have found your voice in the midst of all of those things. Like you found what works and what doesn't work, and you guys have navigated that space to find better friendships, and make better decisions for your social life. So I want to give you guys kudos for that first and foremost, and thank you for being so open and vulnerable. Go ahead, Smith.
Oh, no, you said exactly what I was going to
Okay.
say. Like, I want to make sure those young ladies heard me verbally say like how impressed I am, because I'm listening as a father now, and listening to them talk, first with Karen, I'm like, oh no, we're gonna go check those little girls. That was my thought process. While I'm listening, you know what I'm saying? And then is it Alani? Listening to her, like breaks my heart. And I was gonna ask, like, you seem very strong. Like I know you said you went through some things and you probably still are, because the thing about trauma doesn't go away. It's
Exactly.
there, it's always there. It's how we absorb it and we allow it to filter into our life, right? So with that, like, did you talk to your parents about this particular young lady that made you feel this way?
No.
No. And so so I want to say this to young people, and this is not direct towards you, Alani. This is to everyone. Like parents, we have to encourage our children. We have to empower them with the self-esteem that going to look for social capital and it's not there. I don't want you to feel as though you are not worthy and you are not capable and you are not a good friend. You know what I'm saying? I don't think any young person should go through that. But I also think it's imperative that the parent has those conversations, instills that self-esteem, that self-worth that we all have, right? But if it's not, I want to be careful when I say this, because as a parent, sometimes things don't get said for whatever reason, many reasons, they don't get said. And then the young folks are left to fend for themselves and try to figure some things out. So I think the stories that we just heard go to your point, your original point, sis, like, what is the parent's role in this? You know what I'm saying? All these young ladies and all these young men have these relationships. They may be toxic, they may not be, but then what is the parent having these? And that's one thing I would like to say before I shut up is, like, my wife was awesome at that. Like she was in the kids' business. Me, I'm like, y'all good? Yeah. All right, pops, peace. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, yeah. Hey, you bring me my grades, I'm gonna stay off you. Clean your room, whatever. But like my wife, like she was in there. She knew their friends. She knew their friends' mamas. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I need you to understand this is how people behave. I want you to make sure you're strong, that you're comfortable with who you are, and friends don't define you, and these different things. You know what I'm saying? So I really like to just say thank you guys for sharing that, because I think there's a lot of young people out there in the same scenario right now, in the same exact scenario right now. And I hope they're listening, because I think it'd be a helpful story for them to hear that they're not alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the key right there. Students who are listening, parents that are listening, because again, adults are going through the same thing, you guys. It is not just a teen thing.
So
you are not alone.
sis, you know me, right? You know me.
Come on.
This is why it is important to have young people at the table speaking their voice, because it's powerful. Me and you, and I'm older than you, but me and you lived in a time when the worst case scenario was someone was passing around a note at school. Like,
Right.
and the note, the note only gonna last so long before it gets ripped up or
Exactly.
destroyed or whatever before the teacher get it. Now that same energy is being passed around and circulated on a live forever stream
Yep.
internet system that doesn't go away, and it just fuels the fire. So it's awesome that these young folks are saying what they're going through now, because it's totally different than when we was in school. We was doing a whole different level of causing trauma to people.
For real. Look, that note piece is so real because yes, the note
Real.
to circulate.
Real.
But look, you at least knew the note was gonna go in the garbage at some point.
At some point.
No,
At some
nobody
point.
was gonna find it again. So all you
Right.
had was like he said, she said.
That's
Like,
it. That's it. That's it.
and it's true. Like now, when things happen, like people are so quick to pull out a camera and record, so quick to like it's that real mean girl energy, and our young men are participating in it just as much as
Mhm.
our girls are.
Mhm.
But everybody's doing it in the name of or in the sake of going viral.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you're absolutely right. So
That was
look,
phenomenal.
yeah, come on. Look, hold on, let me slide it over so they can see you. Oh no, they gotta see you because when you
Yeah.
said they gotta look at you, girl. Look,
Hey.
Going back to like when you said like the parents have to be involved and like ask for like help, like be like, hey, you could talk to me. What he always tells me is like, don't lose your identity for someone else. So
Powerful.
in Portuguese is identidade, like don't lose your
Ah.
identity.
Mhm.
Because
I need to learn Portuguese.
Right.
because, um, because your identity makes who you are, and if
So
you
you
are
need you need patience. You need patience. That's patience in Portuguese. Patience. I had a Portuguese basketball coach. He used to yell at me, patience.
He's giving you like,
Patience.
just confused.
I'm saying,
I love it.
I'm just confused.
am I wrong? It's patience. No, he said it's something different, but it is what it is, And so I would say to that, like, I think that's a valuable point that you just made, because what if the parent doesn't know and they need to be educated?
Oh, see, boom, hold on. That's where community comes in, okay? And so again, I think this is why it's so valuable for us to continue to have open conversations, not just with our kids, but in general, because a lot of times there are some parents that are willing to share their insights. And there are, if that parent doesn't know, it's kind of like when we talked about that friend circle, right? So you said like some of the parents were like hanging around each other. And so sometimes it just takes that one parent to speak up a lot of times and open up the pathway or open the door for that communication piece. Now we know some parents don't feel like they should have to be that backbone.
Mhm.
But in some cases, you do have that one parent that is not afraid to speak up and say, okay, let's check this real quick, or let's have a conversation about it, because then it not only opens up the door for communication with other parents, but also opens up the door for communication with parents and children. So I think the community, and like when we continue to talk about the village that we try to surround ourselves with, it's important to kind of check your village
Mhm.
and
Oh
see
no, I agree.
in your inner circle to be able to keep conversations like these going, especially for parents who may not know where to start.
And that's the thing that, I probably didn't tell the two older kids this because they were just different. And I'm not saying that to be funny, but my two oldest children, very strong-willed, like they didn't care. You know what I'm saying? So and again, I have to say, at that time, I wasn't who I am now. I wasn't I didn't think then, I just did. You know what I'm saying? And then with the younger one, you know, it was a lot of hands-on with me and moms to 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 learn and to guide him and to energize him. You know what I'm saying? And because he lived a different life. That's crazy. Let's talk about that really quick. I know we're going, but that's important when we start talking about friendships. and we start talking about involvement of parents, right? You might have a family with 3 or 4 children, or maybe 1 child. Now, let's be real. And again, that's who I am. That single child is probably going to have a different lifestyle than the family with the 3 or 4 children. You know what I'm saying? So their perception on life may be different. Their social interaction might be different. Their normal might be different. You know what I'm saying? So really quick scenario, my daughter's going from one house to another. My oldest son is going from one house to another. Our youngest son is in one household. He's seeing the world a whole different way. So when we start talking about these different cliques and these different friendships, if there's a friendship, Karen, how many people were in your friendship in your group? 6, 7?
10, I want to say.
10?
Mhm.
That's a lot of different individuals with different mindsets going on. So I got the count from the Sandman over in the corner. We wrapping up. I don't want to get the hook from the Sandman. So, since you know me, you could have just said, Smith, shut up. We're gonna do a carryover to next
I
week.
gotta tell you that. Look, I'm like, you got 1 more minute. No, what's funny is, look, we had the library, right? So it's on the big screen. So they all started laughing because they see my little white man.
Hey, you do me like that. That's cold-blooded, boy. I know all the people at the library like, that boy talk too much. You should have hit him with the 30-second timer.
Not even. No, not at all.
Hey, that's why I'm going to come and steal all of y'all library cards so y'all can't check out no books.
So you just don't have this library card, Smith. Look, it is National Library Card Month, you guys.
Man.
So if you do not have a library card, we would like to encourage you to get one.
I'm not getting no library card until they put my book in every library in America. That's what I'm gonna give me a library card.
I love it. That is hilarious. Listen, so before we end, you guys, I first and foremost want to say a huge thank you. Thank you to my team for being here and sharing their testimonies and stories. And then Smith, always thank you for showing up as a phenomenal co-host and putting your insight in and sharing all the great things that you have to offer, because you do share a lot for our students and our families. You might encourage them.
I'm gonna go over time right now because I got it. So I'm sitting in Houston. You know, I'm from California. I'm sitting in Houston.
You in Houston? Wait, but did you fly or did you drive?
I flew, sis. I flew.
He getting them flyer miles in.
I flew. I got some frequent travel miles too. I flew with the wife and the grandson. We are on baby watch, grandson number 2 watch. He should be here any minute, like yesterday. So, you know, I'm excited. That's why we're going over today, because I felt excited. I felt the energy.
Listen, tell baby girl I said congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for y'all. Look, is that any day now? Okay.
Any minute.
So listen, I'm expecting a text when it happened. I'm just saying.
I got you covered.
Because I want y'all to know that Smith came on live and outed his daughter.
Oh, yeah, I did.
But not even supposed to be telling nobody, but it's okay because she family now. So
right.
He just came and told family.
Hey, you know, that's all I did.
So that being said, again, guys, we want to say thank you all for tuning in this week for our next episode of Talk Tuesday. We're super excited to be back because we've been on hiatus for 2 months. So we're glad to be back. So we hope that you guys enjoyed the discussion today about positive peer relationships. I appreciate again my team for coming in and sharing their inputs and their insights. We want you guys to remember that the quality of your friendships can have a huge impact on your happiness and well-being. So choose your circle wisely. One thing that I want to tell you guys, go with your gut. If you don't feel right, it's probably not right. If you feel that something's wrong, it probably is wrong. So listen to your gut. Listen to that instinct that you're giving, because we're all giving it. So before we wrap up, I just want to say, don't forget to check out some of our upcoming events. So if you go to our website, you'll see that we have some wonderful things coming up here at the library on our virtual platform. If you are a Zenith student at Zenith, and we'll be going into Chambers Park starting this month. So definitely take a moment to go visit the program section of our website so that you can see where we are. And don't hesitate to reach out if you got questions. So you can reach us at info@stepsfoundation.org, but definitely go to our website, www.stepsfoundation.org. Okay, and you can follow all of our social media pages. So remember, you are stronger than you think and more capable than you realize. So keep growing, keep learning, and most importantly, you guys keep choosing positive connections. Until next time, we hope to see you next Tuesday. Hold up, this one's for
Where's the
Smith.
music? Where's the
Yeah, look,
music?
listen, I
Where's
said
the
it.
music?
This one for Smith, because you know, Smith said we got boom.